The Five Themes of Geography, Lesson 4. In today's lesson, we will be looking at the 5 themes of geography. These are themes that geographers use when studying a place. The acronym that you will use will be LPHMR, and the way that you can remember that will be lucky people have more rhesus. I will come back to that at the beginning or at the end of the presentation. Location. Location is your first theme. The definition of location is where a place can be found on Earth. That is its location. There are 2 types of location, absolute and relative. Let's talk about the difference between the 2. Absolute location shows the exact location of a place on the Earth's surface, where it is exactly located, the exact point. This could be an address or latitude and longitude coordinates. Relative location explains where a place is located at in relation to another. Hence we call this relative location, in relation to another place. You could use cardinal directions or intermediate directions. Walgreens is exactly south of Olathe North. It is next to KFC. It is down the street from Subway. You get the idea. This is where you tell where a place is in relation to another place. That is its relative location. That would be your L for lucky. Your P for place or people. The definition would be what a place looks like. Describing what a place looks like. We use this in 2 ways, physical characteristics and human characteristics. Let's first talk about physical characteristics. For this, you would need to write down the definition like you did for location and a few examples. Physical characteristics are anything nature made. Sometimes my students say, well, that would be paper. That's not exactly correct. Paper, you see, isn't natural. Paper doesn't grow on trees, or we don't dig up loose leaf notebook paper. Paper does come from trees, which is a natural resource, but the tree is a natural resource, not the paper. Human characteristics are anything that would be made by humans. Buildings, roads, this school, for instance. Human culture, language, customs, food, etc. Clothing, those are all human characteristics of place. So when geographers describe a place, if we include all the physical features or physical characteristics, along with the human characteristics, culture, customs, buildings, roads, etc., we get a pretty good idea of what the place is like. Human-environment interaction. So in your phrase, lucky people have more rhesus, this would be your H, human-environment interaction. Your definition would be how people interact with the environment. People interact with the environment in 3 ways. We use the acronym MAD to describe this. People either modify, adapt, or depend on the environment. Modify means that humans actually change or modify the environment. Humans change or modify the environment by building houses, building dams, and cutting down trees. This is how humans have changed what the physical structure of the earth has looked like. Humans must also adapt because of the environment in order to survive or live. That is, they must have air conditioning, or so we think, because we get way too hot in the summer. We like to turn on the air conditioning. In the winter time it gets really cold, so we like to turn on the heat. When you go outside, if it's bright and sunny, you might put on sunglasses. These are all great examples of how humans adapt to meet their environment needs by living and surviving. We also depend as humans on the environment. We depend on the environment for crops, to grow wheat and corn and vegetables and fruits and so forth. We also depend on our environment for food. We depend on our environment for fish in the rivers and so forth. And oxygen, trees that convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, which would be one way that we depend on our environment. Now M would be your movement, which is how people, goods, and ideas move between places. So in your phrase, lucky people have more rhesus, the more would start with the M. This would be your movement and your way to remember movement. Let's talk about how goods, people, and ideas move. Goods move by a variety of ways, by truck and by ship and by train. We move goods about our country as well as around the world. People move. You can move quite simply to school every day by walking, riding in a car, riding a bike, or riding on the school bus. But also people move in and out of countries. So for instance, we might have immigrants, people moving into our country from Mexico or Honduras or New Zealand or Germany or China. We also might have people immigrating with an E outside of the United States, so they are moving away to all of these countries as well. That is another way that people move. Ideas move pretty quickly nowadays. In the old days, you'd have to wait for the newspaper or telegraph to deliver a telegram across the country. Now ideas move pretty quickly via the internet and email. You can call, text, or write a letter as well. So movement ideas travels pretty quickly. For instance, you might be aware that on Spruce we have a Buddhist temple. This is an example of how an idea, a religion, has moved from Asia to the United States, more specifically to us, to Olathe. Now, region. Region is an area that is defined by common characteristics, and we would include two or more places that we would group together because of common characteristics. So lucky people have more rhesus, rhesus starting with an R, region starting with an R. This is your last and final way to remember the 5 themes of geography. There are 2 types of regions, ways in which we group areas in the world, physical and political. Political regions are defined by humans, so they are borders of states, countries, counties, etc. Physical regions are not defined by people so much as they are defined by nature. So we here would classify physical regions by deserts, by mountains, by rivers, by lakes, etc. They are physical regions. So a great example for this would also be the United States is a political region. Kansas is a political region. And Olathe is even a political region. But the Midwest, while Kansas lies within the Midwest, there is no state called the Midwest with a capital. The Midwest is simply a region of our world that is grouped together because of common characteristics with growing season and climate and culture. And also various types of vegetation that are common in this region. Now, the 5 themes of geography. Just remember, lucky people have more rhesus. L for lucky would be location. P, people, would be place. Have, H, would be human environment interaction. M for more would be movement. And rhesus, R, would be region. Thank you, and that concludes Lesson 4.